Well, I'll be it, Mr. Wilson. You really had me toss and turn there for a second. Now I got you.
The people of Windham were quiet, so the town itself was quiet. You could hear the drop of a needle if you wanted to. My days at the office were long, and even longer was my want to be on a case again. Just one goddamn case was all I wanted, all I needed, to give me some sanity again. Miss Winona Meadows, an intelligent girl, and my well-trusted secretary of 5 years, though, as of late, has been the epitome of peculiar.
Miss Meadows? What seems to be the problem, Miss Meadows?
The problem?
Why, yes, the problem. You've been coming in late, you're distressed. Hell, you can't even answer to a simple call anymore.
Well, it's...
What? It's what?
It's just that I can't sleep, Mr. Willis. For weeks now, every night. At 10 o'clock sharp, the power goes out in my apartment complex and leaves the whole place cold and dark.
You live over at Mr. Wilson's building, right? He's your landlord?
Yes, that's correct.
Miss Meadows, I'll need every file that you can obtain on all the residents in your building. And you know what? Throw in the files of those that work with the facility and its appliances. Could you give me the address of this place?
And just like that, on a silver platter, my next mystery was handed to me. The day was spent talking with passers-by and residents of the building. Now, it was time to get a look at the scene for myself. While Miss Meadows conducted background checks at the office, reruns of the interrogations were on loop in my head. And of the dozen, the only one that stuck out was Miss Bernstein, an ill-tempered old woman who lives on the 7th floor of the building. Yet, would such an outdated woman be capable of handling the technologies of today, cutting their electricity and everything? I suppose it could be possible, certainly more possible than the residents' frivolous suspicion of the paranormal cutting the electricity. Curious, maybe a paranormal perpetrator isn't so silly after all. Miss Meadows and I have been working day in and day out to crack this case, but now we were at a dreadful standstill. Nothing was adding up. Every time I seemed to come across one clue, it seemed to send me off in a totally different direction. Miss Bernstein was still my top suspect, the only person that seemed to genuinely want to inconvenience her own neighbors. This dead end really makes a guy think if this whole mystery on a silver platter situation is just a sign to stop dealing with mysteries.
Mr. Willis, a man is here for you. He says he has something important to say.
Very well, send him in.
Mr. Willis, thanks for seeing me. I hope I wasn't disturbing anything.
Not at all, Mr.
May I take a seat, please?
Oh, yeah, please.
Thank you.
Well, at least that's what I thought, until a familiar stranger decided to pay a visit.
So what can I help you with?
So you're, the brainy fella, working on the situation over at, Wilson's building. I'm the, superintendent over at the complex next to Mr. Wilson's. We've been having electrical issues every night now, so I just wanted to touch base with you over that.
Huh. Wasn't aware the building next door was having similar issues.
Oh yeah, for, quite some time now.
Well, if you're looking to know who keeps cutting your electricity, I don't have much useful information for you just yet.
Well, Mr. Willis, that's fine. I don't think you're looking for a person.
Well, what do you suggest I'm looking for?
A ghost.
A ghost? You mean the paranormal?
Why, yes. There's talk of it all over town. Haven't you heard?
I've heard snippets, but what has led you to believe ghosts are at this?
My own two eyes, Mr. Willis. You've seen the posters with their talk of spirits, the ones from those damn hippie witches over at St. Augustine's? Well, I've sat on the rooftop of my building every night for a week now. It overlooks that little panel for the building's electricity. And I see ghosts that are flicking that switch they leave their slimy ectoplasm or whatever it is. It's disgusting, I tell you. Well, maybe they're spirits, I don't know. But anyway, I think that we ought to listen to those damn hippie witches, you know?
Sure, I know, but do you, I mean, have you always believed in ghosts?
Mr. Willis?
Miss Meadows?
Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Willis, but the papers just came back from the lab for that sample the other day. Very interesting results.
Very well. Bring them here. Sorry, you're gonna have to go now.
Mr. Willis, I hope you don't mind my asking, but what was that about? He could have had useful information.
No, Miss Meadows, he didn't have any useful information.
Why not? I don't understand.
Because, Miss Meadows, that's the sinister man who's been cutting your electricity.
The files Miss Meadows gave me that fateful afternoon must have been blessings from God himself, because they contained the answers I had sought for so long. Let's just say that the content completely contradicted what my visitor said, thus singling him out as my top suspect. In order to verify my suspicions, I felt a stakeout to be the proper procedure. I'd grown quite hopeless by the time a figure appeared in the spot I had stared at a million times. It was just who I'd expected.
Well, I'll be it, Mr. Wilson. You really had me toss and turn there for a second. Now I got you.
You're brilliant, Mr. Willis, but how did you know it was Mr. Wilson?
Because the man was like a salesman, Miss Meadows, and not the good kind. He was trying to sell me on the idea that goop was some sort of ghost ectoplasm, and I almost believed him until you gave me those lab results. They brought me back to the real world, a world where Mr. Wilson is just a simple landlord trying to con me and his residents into a fear of ghosts, a fear which would drive them to very willingly paying more money on maintenance for their building's electricity. Money which would go right into the pockets of Mr. Wilson. For what? God knows. Probably just another greedy man.